Morning. So, today we are doing topic 7, SAS 3. This is the last section in topic 7. So we're doing that today. And don't forget to do your attendance quiz. If you have not done your Agile Mind lesson from yesterday, it is due today at 3. Remember, that's how I check your attendance, and that is also how I give you a grade for the day. So make sure you are clicking that and you are not spending only 5 minutes. If you're spending 5 minutes, then I know for a fact you're just clicking through it and you do not deserve the 100 grade for that day, okay? So you've got to actually work through it, guys. I know it's not ideal, but we've almost made it a whole week doing completely virtual. So hang in there. Hopefully we'll be back soon. So let's go ahead and start. So this first one is a review from yesterday. So remember, we did, let's see. Turn my pen on. Here is our exponential, and we want to change it to the radical expression. So remember, it's b, your root, the square root of x to the a power, okay? So for this first one, what did I say yesterday? Anything to the half power we know is the square root. So make sure you write half power equals square root. Okay? So all this is wanting us to do in the first one is say the square root of 64. We're not solving, we're just writing in radical expressions. Now, the next one is 27 to the 4/3 power. So remember, we have a root of 3. Our b is 3. And then we have 27 to the 4th power. The next one, we have 32 to the negative 1/5 power. So we can say a negative 5 root with the square root of 32. Now, we didn't talk about this yesterday because we learned this yesterday. But what do we know about negatives? We have negative exponents we do not like. The same thing applies to the roots. If we have a negative root, we do not like it. So right now, this is over 1. Since I have a negative root, what should I do to it? I should move it to the bottom. So now we have 1 over 5, 32. Okay? So it means the same thing. You'll get the same answer, but this is just the correct form. That's what you'll see. All right, the last one on D is 125 to the 2/3 power. So remember, we have a cube root and 125 squared. Okay? Oh. Let's see. All right, so page 1 on Agile Mind just shows you the exact same thing. It shows you that your power is your root. Look, if you have a half power, you have a square root. If you have a 3rd power, you have a cube root. If you have a 4th power, you have a 4th root. if you have a fifth power, you have a root of 5. Okay, so that's just showing you what we talked about yesterday. We actually skip number 2 and number 3. So you can mark out number 2 and 3 on your workbook page. And we're going to number 4. So number 4, you already know. Okay? It wants you to write the relationship between a radical expression and an expression with rational exponents. Okay? So that is what we've written yesterday and today. So I'm going to put this box around it. Now, I only showed you if you went from here to here. Okay? But you can actually keep going. And you can do everything to the power. So these are the exact same things. I personally use this one when I'm changing. However, this is the same thing. The only thing different about it is the set of parentheses is around that radical, and you raise it to the power. So if you notice in the first one, the power is with the x underneath the radical right here. And on the second one, the power is outside with parentheses. Okay? Same thing. Just know how to change it. And we did that today, or yesterday and today. All right, so on number 5, it says rewrite the following radical expression using rational exponents. Well, we're looking at this one right here. So we have 3x squared. So the first thing I personally like to do is I like to write my b's, which is a 3, and I like to write that my a is a 2. All right, so I want to go from here started here. I want to go to this. So I'm saying parentheses 3 square root of x, close my parentheses, squared. And now I want to go using the rational exponent. So now I have x 2/3. Now, tell me this. Is are these two answers the same as this answer? Yeah, because that's the power rule. Remember, on the power rule, we multiply our exponents. So, this would be x 2/3. And this would also be x 2/3. Okay? If you want to click check, it'll show you the same thing that we just did. It said all of these forms are equivalent. Do you see why? So every form that it's showing you is equivalent. Okay, so it starts using the radical expression, which has the square root, and it moves to the rational exponents. Okay, so they all are the same thing, just different forms. The next one is this. Okay, so first, I'm looking right here, and I want to move to this one. Okay, so our B equals 4 and our A equals 3. So I've got parentheses 4 square root of x y to the 1/3. But not to the 1/3, to the, yeah. Okay. But, is this really right? No, it's not really right, because does this y have anything attached to it right now? No, it just has a 1. So when I put this 1/3 on the outside of the parentheses, does that not mean it goes to everything? Yes. So this would not be correct, because that 1/3 only goes to my x, not to my y. Okay, so we could not write that in that form. So let's just go from here to here. We have an x to the 3 and a y, and all that is to the 1/4. I can actually break that up, and I can say x to the 3rd to the 1/4 times y to the 1/4. Right? The 1/4 goes to the x cubed, and it also goes to the y. That one's kind of tricky. Go ahead and click check, and it will show you. So we started here. Then we moved to the rational exponent. Then we broke it down. We applied the 1/4 to both the x term and the y term. Then here, we just swapped our exponents, because when you multiply, it doesn't matter, right? You do the power rule, you can put them in either order. And then here is our simplified version. So it says at the bottom, as you can see, there are many ways to rewrite radical expressions using rational exponent. You will have flexibility in applying these properties to simplify expressions and solve equations. So just because the person sitting beside of you has different work does not mean that he's wrong, and does not mean that you are wrong. You have flexibility, so that means you can work these problems many different ways. See, for just the one we did, there's a possibility of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible ways to work it, and 5 possible answers, because they are all equivalent. So, don't rely on your neighbor's paper, because they are doing something completely different than the way you work it. Okay? All right, go to number 6 on your Agile Mind. It'll be on page 4. And it says you can use the law of exponents and relationship between rational exponents and radicals to simplify this radical expression. Consider the radical expression the cube root of y7. Can you complete the puzzle to write the equivalent expression and simplify the expression completely? Okay, so first we want to write the rule. Okay, next we want to write what b equals and then what a equals. So b is our root. So what kind of root are we taking? We're taking a cube root. And our a is our power. What is our power? 7. Okay, so the first thing we want to write is x to the 7/3 power. Everybody agree? Okay. Now, we want to split it up. This should not be an x. This should be a y. Sorry. We want to split it up. By looking at your answer choices, we know that the denominator has to be a 3. But looking at your answer choices, what two things add up to get 7? So we can only use, well, let's see. We can only use this answer, or this answer, because those are the only ones with a third. So out of those three answers, what adds up to 7? Does 7 and 1 add up to 7? No. Does 7 and 6 add up to 7? No. Does 1 and 6? Yes. So we have a 6/3 and a 1/3. We know that we add those exponents because we're multiplying. So remember, that means add. Now we simplify. Y. What is 6 divided by 3? A 2. Then we have y 1/3. What did we talk about on the first slide? That first slide, we said anything to the half power is a square root. Anything to the 1/3 power is a cube root. So if we simplify y to the 1/3 power, we should get the cube root of y. Okay, so now I'm going to go in, I'm going to fill in my blanks. Whoops. So here we simplified to 7/3. Then we broke it down to 6/3 and 1/3 because 6 plus 1 is 7. Then we simplified again and we said 6 divided by 3 is 2. And we know that the y to the 1/3 power just means we take the cube root of y. Okay? All right, on number 7, so I'm going to work 7A and 7B with you, and then you are going to do C. And the answers are on Agile Mind. You just have to click check, and it will show you the work and if you did it correctly. So I'm going to go to a different page so I have room to write. So the first one is the square root of 36w cubed. Okay, so the direction says to use the law of exponents to simplify the following radical expression. Okay, so we know that we're taking the square root. Okay, you have to remember what I told you earlier. What is the square root? It's raised to the what power? To the half power. So we have 36 to the half power times a W to the 3/2 power. Now, why did I do 3/2? Remember? This is a rule. You have to use that rule, okay? Now, I'm going to simplify again. The 36 to the 1/2 power, remember, is just the square root of 36. And if I want to break down W 3/2, I can say W 2/2 and W 1/2, right? Because 2 plus 1 is 3. Now we simplify. What's the square root of 36? 6. What's 2 divided by 2? Right here. 1, so we're just left with a W. And then W to the 1/2 power. Anything to the 1/2 power is the what kind of root? The square root. So now our answer would be 6W times the square root of W. Now, just because I worked it this way does not mean that you have to work it the same way. As long as we're getting the same answer, that's all that matters. If you click check on Agile Mind, it'll say something along the lines of, did you work it a different way? Well, if you did, that's totally okay as long as we're getting the same answers. Okay? All right, so now on B, we have this problem. Now, what kind of root am I taking? Well, here's my root. So everything must be raised to what power? Well, remember this rule? Here's where it comes in handy. So we have a 16 to the 1/4 power, because what exponent is on that 16 we don't write? A 1. Then we have x to the 3/4 power. And then we have y to the 5/4 power. Okay? Now, we must simplify. Let's see. Your goal here is to try and get a power that is equal to 1. So let's simplify the y first. I'm going to have 2 y's. To get a 5, I need a 4/4 and a 1/4. So do you see what I mean by trying to get one of the powers to equal 1? What is this? What does 4 divided by 4 mean? Well, it's 1. So this simplifies to just a y times a y to the 4th. Okay, now let's go back and do x to the 3rd, or x to the 3/4 power. Can we simplify it and try to get a 1 out? No. So we're just going to leave it. Now, 16 to the 1/4 power, if you put that in your calculator, it's going to give you 2. Okay? But before we do that, I want us to try to use the power rule. So, what if I say 2 to the 4th times the 1/4 power? If I multiply the 4 power and the 1/4 power, do I not get 2 to the 4 over 4 power? What's 4 divided by 4 though? 1. So I'm left with 2 times x 3 over 4 times y to the 1/4. Now, I want to simplify. I can say 2 times y because those do not have an exponent. So 2y and I've got my radical. But what's my root going to be? It's going to be a 4. I have an x cubed and just a y. So this would be my answer. Now, if you wanted to totally skip this part right here, you so can. You just know that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. So you would just know that's a 2. Okay, this is just showing you how you can break it down. All right, so we are also skipping number 8, and we are going to number 9. It is page 7 on Agile Mind. So here we have to pay really close attention because this one's a lot of trickiness going on. So first, we have, let me go to another screen. So we have the square root of 8a times 3 square root a cubed b. Okay, so first we have to simplify. And we haven't done this yet, but I hope have done it before, maybe in Algebra 1. So we want to simplify. We're just right now dealing with the square root of 8a. Okay, so we want to simplify the square root of 8. If you type that in your calculator, you know that it's going to give you some crazy decimal, and I don't like decimals. I want a simplified radicand, which is the radical. So here's how you do it. Remember factor trees you learned in like 3rd grade? So we start with 8, and we say, what 2 things multiply to get 8 besides 1 and 8, obviously? So we have a 4 and a 2, okay? Now, can 2 be simplified anymore? No. Can 4 be simplified anymore? Yes. It can be simplified to 2 and 2. So here's how you get your answer. You circle your pair and you box what's left over. Okay? So your pair goes outside. So what is my number within the pair? Like, it's a pair of what? It's a pair of 2s. And I have that left over. So the square root of the square root of 8 is 2 square root of 2. So since there's an a under the beginning, guess what? You keep that a right there. Okay? So that's the first set. Now we're dealing with the second set right here. So I first want to change it. So I've got a 3. I'm going to draw a line so we're doing 2 different things. I can't do nothing with that 3. What kind of root is that? Looks like it's a square root because there's nothing attached to the radical. So we have 3 times 3 halves and b to the 1/2. Now remember a couple minutes ago I said we want to have an exponent of 1 somewhere. So can I not say a 2 over 2 and a 1/2 and b 1/2? And then I get 3 times a times the square root of ab. Right here, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I just bring that a. And anything to the half power, you know, is the square root. So back over on Agile Mind, when we the first box when we simplify is going to be right here. Okay? Now, it says to rewrite. When we rewrite, remember we just bring down the first 2. Because we don't have nothing to do with it. Let me change the colors. So we just have a 2. Now, the square root of 2a can also be written as 2a to the 1/2. Same thing with the 3. We can't do nothing with the 3a, but we can say the square root of ab. So this answer would be here. Now, all we do is simplify, we multiply. So we are saying 2 and 3a gives me this. Then we're swapping to the exponents. What kind of power am I going to have? And I have a half, because it's taking the square root. So this goes, let's see, where's it at? So this goes here. Now you simplify. What is 2 times 3a? 6a. We change it back. So we have the square root of 2a squared and a b. Then we simplify again. And we get 6a squared and the square root of 2ab. Okay? So just change the order. So that one's kind of tricky. All right, so on number 11, it shows you a way to solve a radical expression. Whew, excuse me. So that's one way. You can look through that and see that that's one way to solve. But I'm going to show you what I think is a simpler way. So I'm going to rewrite my problem as 8 times 15x squared y to the 5th, and all that is to the 1/3 power, over 2 times 3xy squared to the 1/3 power. So from here to here, the first one is just written in a radical expression, and the one that I wrote is the way in using rational exponents. So I just know in my head that when you take a cube root, that's the same thing as raising everything to the 3rd power. So now I simplify. first, what is 8 divided by 2? 4. So we've done the easy part. All right, so now we can simplify even more. So I want to know first, what is, let's go ahead and write this, 15x squared y to the 5th over 3xy squared, and all that's to the 1/3. All right, so let's simplify again. So we have, I'm going to have to write up here. So we have 4 times parentheses. What's 15 divided by 3? 5. Now, our x's, when we are dividing, remember we subtract. So we have an x squared and an x, which leaves me with an x. And we have a y5 and a y2, which leaves me with a y3, and all that's still raised to the 1/3 power. We simplify again. And we say 4, 5x to the 1/3 power times y to the 3 over 3. So you see what I did? I applied that 1/3 power, and I used the power rule to multiply. So I'm left with 4y times 5x 1/3. Now, why did I do 4y? Because this really equals 1, and 4 times y is 4y. Okay, so that's another way you can work. Okay, the last one we're going to do today is number 12. Wait, where is number 12? Oh, I guess number 12 is not. No, not number 12. I'm sorry. Number 14. Okay. Let me go back. Let me look at this. Okay, yeah. Number 14. We're solving some problems. So it says use algebraic operations to show the following expressions are equivalent. So here's how you show if they are equivalent. So the first one, we have 12 square root of x. Now, you cannot have a square root in your denominator. Okay? So in order to get rid of something in the denominator, you multiply by the denominator on the top and the bottom. How do you multiply fractions? Straight across. So you have 12 square root of x, and the square root of x and the square root of x is just equal to x. And I know this because if I said the square root of 4 times the square root of 4, well, what's the square root of 4? 2. And 2 times 2 equals 4. So it's almost like your radicals just go away. All right, so that's how you show number 1. Or not number 1, number 14a. And you do the same thing for b. So 9 over the square root of 5x. Remember, you cannot have a square root in the bottom. So you multiply by the denominator on the top and the bottom. And you get 9 square root of 5x over 5x. And you cannot simplify those anymore. Okay? All right, so this lesson's also kind of tricky on a video. I'm doing the best I can. If you were just completely lost, please reach out to me. I'll do my best that I can to help you through the computer or through the iPad or whatever. But have a great day. Hang in there. We're almost done with virtual. See you soon.